quickly.
Okay.
We're
yes,
live.
I know it's it's like, yeah.
Hi everyone. Really happy to be joined by Martta Kaukonen. I always feel like I butcher your name. I'm so sorry.
No,
Really
thank you, Caroline. I'm so happy to be here, and you really learn fast. Your pronunciation of my name gets better and better every time we meet.
Yay. Do you want to introduce yourself and your book to the people who are watching?
Yes, I'm Martta Kaukonen. I'm a Finnish author, and I write psychological thrillers. And here is my debut book, Follow the Butterfly, and it came out in Britain a year ago. And now the pocketbook version, paperback version came out a couple of months ago. And the sequel will come out next year, and it's called Meet Me in the Darkness. And this book is about 20-year-old serial killer, Ira, or Ida in British version, who goes to therapy. And she chooses for her therapist this celebrity therapist, Clarissa. And then begins a cat and mouse game, and no one knows the rules to this game. That's my book in short. And I'm so happy that you came here.
Well, we've got a hello from Donna and Sarah already.
Sarah! Great! And Donna, of course, but nice to hear that Sarah is here.
And I'm really excited to hear that we're going to get book 2.
That's amazing. That's really good to hear that someone is already waiting for the sequel. And I'm waiting for the publishing because I had hoped that it would have come even sooner, but it's coming soon. And I'm really excited that you get the chance to hear what happens to Ida next.
Is some of the problem finding translators for it?
I don't know if maybe that's the problem, because of course there are so few who can translate from Finnish to English, like a couple of people only, because our language is so small and so few translators come here and live here in Finland and want to translate books to English. But I have a wonderful translator, David Haxton, who translated Follow the Butterfly, and now he has translated Meet Me in the Darkness, and my editor at Pushkin Press is working on the manuscript now, and everything is going well.
Brilliant. Sarah's happy to hear book 2 is on the way as well.
Thank you, Sarah. I met Sarah in Harrogate last summer.
Yeah, she's a legend, isn't she? She's lovely. So my first question for you was about that, because obviously I met you. Well, I didn't meet you in Harrogate, but I saw you on the New Blood panel, and that was what inspired me to approach you for a chat. And I'm just wondering what you've been up to since then.
Yes, in fact, you sent me the questions beforehand, and because I don't really trust my English always, so I wrote the answers down. So sorry if I checked these papers during this interview, but only wonderful things have happened to me since Harrogate. And the first one was that Sebastian Fitzek, do you know him? Sebastian Fitzek from Germany, who has wrote the book, is it in British, maybe The Patient or something. It's about this therapy relationship, psychological thriller. and he's this German's most famous thriller writer, and he has his own literary award for thriller books, and he chose Follow the Butterfly for the nominated for this award. And the other nominee was Gillian McAllister and the book Wrong Place, Wrong Time. You must know this book.
Yes.
Yes. And Gillian won the prize, but my book was nominated, and that was brilliant because now the book has sold over 30,000 copies in Germany. And the sequel came out in the beginning of this year, and it has also sold very good, and that's good. And another thing is that Follow the Butterfly came out in Italy on January, and it went straight to the bestseller list in Italy and stayed there for weeks. And they bought the book 20,000 copies in 2 months. So it was like huge bestseller there. And now I have been invited to Venice Book Festival in June. So if you happen to be in Venice in June, please come to the festival. It starts 3rd day of June and it closes at 15th day. And I will be performing there at 11th of June.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, I'm so excited about it. Yes.
That's it's amazing that it flew straight to the top of the bestseller list in Italy.
Yes, and it was also on bestseller list in Germany. So some countries, I think that in some countries people really get my book and get the meaning, and they think that it's more than just a psychological thriller. They are interested in the book's themes, and I think that my book is a literary psychological thriller. That language is very important to me, and the themes of the book are important. Of course, the twists and suspense is also important, but I think that there should be more in a book than just these chills and thrills.
Yes. And your book definitely delivers that. I loved your book. It was one of my favorite reads last year.
Thank you. And I think that my favorite author is Gillian Flynn, and her books are literary thrillers. And I love it that she always has these important themes like violence towards women. And it's like if I wrote a novel about violence against women, it would be so much harder to get readers to read it. But if you write a thriller about these themes, people can read it like, oh, this is new thriller, I want to read it. And then it's like these themes, they are like creeping on you. You don't realize when you take the book and start to read that there are important themes there. And I think that's the best thing about thrillers, that you can write about important stuff and people read them and don't realize that what is waiting for them when they start the book.
But I think in your book there is a lot of those themes that will leave people thinking when they've finished the book.
yes, that's what I hoped when I wrote the book. I think that I couldn't write a book that it's, only a thriller. I always have, I'm writing my fifth book now, and I always have these themes because I don't, I think that I couldn't write without these important themes because they are the reason that keeps me interested in writing. If I just wrote about murders and chills and thrills and twists, it wouldn't be so interesting for me to write. And I always, nowadays, I have to, uh, for me to write a book, it takes a year or year and a half. So I really have to have some thing that makes me interested in writing. Otherwise, I would leave the book and start writing the next one. you know, uh, there has to be some reward for me when I write.
Okay. I mean, I think what I found when I was writing the questions for this interview, it was so easy to remember everything that had happened in Follow the Butterfly, even though I read it a year ago. I could still remember all of the characters and a lot of the things that had happened and what I really liked about it without needing to go back to the book.
That sounds amazing.
So you've done a very good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Uh, what? Oh, I was going to ask you about the German TV production. Did that come
Yeah,
out?
yes. So the Follow the Butterflies TV adaptation rights were sold, was it 2 years ago? And they are writing the manuscript now, but everything is so slow in this TV world. I'm still waiting, but every time I hear about not agent, but producer of this TV series, I really feel that this is going to happen because uh, before I started to write books, I was a film critic. So I saw these productions, hundreds of productions going, and many of them stops in some way because there are so many things that can go wrong when you're doing a movie or TV series. But I have this feeling that this is going to work. Of course, this can change later, but at the moment, I really believe in this, and I hope it will be. The manuscript will be ready very soon.
Are there actors linked to it? Sarah's Anna?
No, no,
No.
not yet. No.
I asked you one of our group's favourite questions as well, which is, would you want to make an appearance in it?
Yes, yes. In fact, I would like to play all the characters of my book in the TV series because I have uh, I have acted as a hobby for over 30 years since I was a teenager. I have acted in these amateur productions in Finland, and it would be so nice to play all the parts of the series. But I guess I will end up like a person who goes somewhere background, walking through the room and vanishing, and no one even notices me. I guess that's my destiny.
People do that though. I think Lee Child is in some of the films of his books.
Yes, some writers really are, but I hope that I get a chance to be at least a small cameo role.
Yeah, I think that'd be good. So, amateur dramatics, that's interesting.
Sorry?
I said, liking amateur dramatics, that's interesting. Do you
Yes,
use
yes, yes.
your acting skills when you're writing? Does that help? Do you ever act out things as you're writing them?
Not really, because I was a film critic before, and when I write, I direct those characters. I always see some Finnish actors playing those parts, and I'm like this puppeteer, from the taking them from the strings and making them act. I'm not acting with them, but this whole author thing is just a performance for me. I'm every time I go to the stage, I think that on a panel for Harrogate or somewhere else, I always feel that I'm having this performance. I'm not myself at all there, but maybe I am. I think that I'm usually more myself than many other authors or people. Usually, when people go to stage on panel, they have this role, a professional role, maybe that they're not their selves, like. How would I say it? They are so cool and calm and collected, and I'm not like that at all. And I'm, in a way, I'm always more like myself than many authors, but in a way, this is also a performance on my part. Do you understand anything I said?
No, I understand. Um, but I think you being yourself on the panels and things is what makes people so interested in your books.
Yes, I think so, and it's much more funnier for me, so I can be myself. And I have to tell you one anecdote, because one Finnish author, Antti Tuomainen, you know him, Antti Tuomainen.
Yeah.
He has written these comic crime books, and he said in an interview that because no one knows Finland and no one knows any Finnish people, we can be whatever we want to be, and everyone just thinks, oh, all Finns are like that. So that's very, relieving when you go to a stage and talk to like 300 people, like in Harrogate. Then I can be myself, and just people don't think that she's totally crazy, because they think that, oh, Finnish people are like that.
I've been to Finland, but I think all Finnish people were very nice
Yeah,
and
we are.
welcoming. I don't know that they were all crazy, but they were all very friendly.
Okay, I'm the only crazy one here.
But I don't know any Finnish people other than you. So
But I really find it very relieving, because I'm not this ambassador of Finland, promoting Finland. I can be whatever I want to be, and then I just ruin all the Finnish people's reputation.
maybe you'll persuade people to come to Finland because they'll think there'll be lots of fun people there. You're so funny. Let me go back to asking you the questions that I sent
Yeah.
you. Let's be sensible. So I wanted to ask you about Ida because she's very complicated, isn't she? When she's starting out, you see a lot of things about her that you maybe wouldn't like. And I'm wondering about how, like, when I was thinking about it, she's such a good character, but I wondered how hard she was to get into the head of to write.
In fact, the first editor I sent the manuscript told me that Ida is so awful that no one wants to read about her, and that's the reason he didn't want to publish the book. And at first, I was, of course, really angry to hear about this. But the next morning, when I got up, I realized that he just didn't get the book. He didn't understand what it was about. And I just thought that people will love Ida. I really trust that readers will love her. And when I wrote the book, I really didn't think that I'm, walking in this tightrope, what to do. I just always knew that readers will love her.
And how did you manage to make her sort of still quite, because she's very likable, Ida. You do genuinely root for her throughout the book, even though you probably shouldn't at times. How did you manage to make her so likable?
I think that readers will forgive her for everything when they hear what has happened in her childhood. That is the main thing, that she can do anything, and then you hear that she has been kidnapped by a pedophile when she was 10 years old. And then you realize that, okay, I will forgive her everything. And many readers can relate to her. I have received many messages all over the world from people who have suffered similar things like her, and they find reading this book very therapeutic. So I think that there are so few characters like Ida in books, and the world needs her.
They do, and I think she's a fabulous character to read about.
Thank you. When the book was published, I had this unhealthy relationship with her. I always, when I went to the States on these festivals and panels, I always saw her with me, standing, besides me. And if someone said something bad about her, I was very angry. But now I've gotten over this obsession. Now I'm normal again.
Do we see more of Ida in book 2?
Yes, she's the main character, but I have already written the book 3, and it will come out in Finland on May. And there is a new character. Ida is not the main character in the book 3, because in book 2 we have a new character called Kerttu, who is 65 years old police who commands murder squad in Helsinki. And she will be the main character of the book 3. But Ida is, of course, still there, and Arto is also.
Do you, thinking about how, because do you have a murder squads outside of Helsinki, or would all of the crime sort of murder investigations go from Helsinki? I know Finland's a very big, yeah, I know Finland's a very big country, but I don't think it has a very big crime rate.
We have a police squad in every big city in Finland and also in little ones, and murder investigations also all over Finland. Finland isn't quite as little as you think.
No, it's a big country. It's
Yeah.
I just didn't. I know it doesn't have a very big sort of crime rate, so I didn't know if it was only in the big cities that you'd get a murder squad.
No,
Or...
no. We have murders all over, of course.
I know it's quite a big country.
We have 5.5 million people in Finland, so you can understand that there must be many murders, of course, because 5 million people. It's like in London. Do they have 5 million people in London? I don't remember. When I first traveled to London in 30 years ago, I was a teenager, and then I remember that then there were 5 million people living in London, but it must be, 10 million maybe today.
It's probably a bit bigger now, yeah. I don't travel to London very often.
Yes, I have been there like 5 or 6 times already. It's
So
my favorite city, in fact.
You've probably been more than me.
Okay. Okay. I have quite a few work trips to London and holidays. And if I had to choose one country in the world that I really love, it's London. And the country is England. I really love Britain.
Oh, okay. That's nice. I mean, you could come over here and write. We'd love your books.
Yeah, it would be so nice to live there. Although I think it's very expensive to live in England.
In London, it depends where in England you live, I think. How expensive
Okay.
it is.
Yeah.
So I live near in the north of England and it's not as expensive.
Okay. And the Harrogate experience, it was just wonderful. I loved it there because you get to meet so many authors and everyone is talking about books all the time. It was wonderful to meet people who are so excited about books and also meet readers who are so excited about books. The atmosphere is just brilliant.
It is, isn't it? Going back to talking about Ida.
Yeah.
Because obviously you've written more books than we know about. So
Yes.
you know more about her than we know at the moment.
Yes, that's true.
So without giving away spoilers, how far do you think you can take someone like Ida? Like how far can you go with her and still keep her as someone who people would like?
I have to admit that I haven't ever thought about this question. When I wrote this book, I didn't think that I didn't think that at all. But I thought the other thing I very, very many times when I had written a scene with Ida in it, and I realized, oh no, I don't want this bad thing happen to her. You have read the book and you know that bad things have happened to her in her childhood and they continue to happen when she's an adult. But still, there were scenes that I was like, I can't put her in this bad situation. I just can't. And that's the reason I I I thought that she was like my best friend when I wrote the book. And I can't put my best friend in this horrible situation over and over again. So I just deleted those scenes. And this happened many times. So I was protecting her. I wasn't protecting the reader. I wasn't thinking that, oh no, she's doing so bad things that readers won't like her. I didn't think about this at all. I was just protecting her from bad situations.
Okay. I guess you must have to be really involved with your characters to write the books, especially something like Follow the Butterfly, because there aren't that many people in the book.
Mm.
There.
Yes, that's true. The characters are the most easy thing for me to do. For example, when I sent my script to the editor who wanted to publish the book, he said to me that there were only 3 characters then. There was no Arto character then. There was only Aida, Clarissa, and Pekka. And the editor told me that this world of the book is so narrow. Now there's only 3 characters. You have to invent a 4th character. And I was like, oh no. But the next morning, when I got up from the bed, I realized that, okay, it's going to be Arto. And I also immediately realized what will his relationship to the other characters be like. And I also realized that he has to be a journalist, because journalists can go anywhere in the world, and this is the way that the world of the book will open up when there's a journalist character. So this is an example for how easy it is for me to invite a character. It took one night when I was sleeping, and in the morning I realized, okay, it's Arto. Because some authors find it very hard to invent characters, but that's easy for me. And you must have heard many authors say that the characters just going to live their own lives. Have you heard this expression before?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know what it means before I started to write Follow the Butterfly, and I just watched those characters doing things, and I just wrote, like notes. I didn't have to invent anything. They did things and they talked with each other, and I just make notes. But of course, sometimes writing is like it's work and you have to do it and you don't know what to do and it's very hard. But at the best times, it's just like taking notes and watching those characters doing like on a big screen, like it was a movie, and you just watch it and you don't have to do anything.
So Sarah had asked a question earlier, and you mentioned that you see some of the characters as Finnish actors.
Yes.
So do you have like actors in mind for the characters?
Yes, if the movies were made in Finland, I absolutely have characters, Finnish actors that I would like to see in those roles. But if Follow the Butterfly was made in Hollywood, I would like to see Brad Pitt in the movie as Arto.
Oh, okay. Have you cast anyone else?
In fact, Nicole Kidman would be perfect Clarissa. What do you think?
Yeah, I think she could work as, yeah.
Or Laura Dern?
Yeah, either of those would for Clarissa.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
either.
I don't know who would be Pekka. I don't know. Or Aida.
Oh, okay. No, I'm not sure. Well, maybe leave it to see who's watching, see if they can think of some characters.
Yeah.
I wonder if you see them visually because of your background with films.
Yes, absolutely. I see them. And I also see the places, the milieus of the books. For example, when Follow the Butterfly happens mainly in Clarissa's and Pekka's home, this old 50s wooden house. And I see also the rooms that are not in the book. Because in the book there is Clarissa's room, Pekka's work the place that Pekka works in the house, and kitchen and living room. I also see other rooms that are not mentioned in the book. So that's an example of how visual I am. I see everything. And it's when I started my new book, my fifth book, a couple of months ago, it took like a week or two when I really started to see these places. So when I go to my computer and start to write, I see this old wooden building that is haunted house that is falling apart. And I feel like I'm in the house or in the yard of the house. And it's like another world to me. And it's almost as real as the real world is. And it comes out very quickly. Just our couple of weeks, I had written the book and I really started to feel. And also for the characters of the book.
I think last time we talked about the fact that the location of the book is so broad, isn't like it could almost be anywhere. I think the thing that makes it really filmable is that although you set it, like it was
Yes,
written in Finnish and you set it in Finland, it doesn't you could imagine it happening anywhere.
yes. And now when they're making this TV series adaptation in Germany, they will move the whole plot of the book to Berlin, Germany. So maybe it's quite universal, like you described, that it could happen anywhere. So that's the reason they were going to move it to Berlin.
And I was talking last week to someone who wrote a book about a therapist.
Okay.
Who I recommended your book too.
Okay. Thank you.
About the research you have to do because they are a therapist, so they'd written a book about it, but they obviously know what they're writing about because that's their job. I'm wondering how much you had to do kind of research for your book about it to get Clarissa right. And
In fact, I didn't do any research, and that's because my mother she's retired, of course, but she was a child and youth psychologist. So it all comes there, from there, because I have always been very interested in psychology and read as when I was a teenager, I started to read anything related to these subjects I have in my book. So I really didn't have to do any new research. And I was so interested in psychology that I was even going to study psychology in university. And I even went to the library and checked out the book, which was the first exam book on psychology. But then I got the book out and I noticed that it was like this 1,000 pages long. book about brain structure of the brain, and I decided that I will study film and TV studies instead.
That's interesting. Um, it's amazing what makes you study things, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I went to movies like 3 times a week anyway when I was a student. So it was, quite natural to start studying film and TV studies. And then I became film critic, and I did that job for over 20 years before my first book came out. And then I quit that, and now I only write books.
Which is living the dream for a lot of authors. A lot of people like
for me also, because I had been doing this film critic stuff so long, and I felt that I have seen everything already, and that is the point that you have to stop writing criticism if you start to think that I have seen everything. There is nothing that will move me anymore. It's a crime to continue writing film criticism if you think like that. So it was a great point for me to stop.
What's your favourite film?
So many, but to name a few, Some Like It Hot from Billy Wilder with Marilyn Monroe. And another huge favorite is Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Good choices. I knew you'd have some good answers. If you're a film critic, you've got to have a good answer for that. So, did you at any point have to call your mum while you were writing the book just to answer some extra questions?
In fact, no. I only I don't even remember what I had to check, but it was only like Googling. I didn't have to check, anything very deep. Only this very like facts, like how many hours or what, how do you spell Sigmund Freud's name or Rorschach's test's name or something like that. Nothing deep. So I didn't. The Google was my only helper.
Gordon Brown, who's watching, he's a Scottish author. He said that Some Like It Hot is a wonderful film.
Okay. Hi, Gordon.
Pauline has said hello as well.
Oh, hi.
I've been very lax at reading you the questions often. I've just been having too much fun. Sarah wants to know how you keep notes about your characters and locations. Do you have a spreadsheet or a notebook?
I don't do. I don't really do any notes. Of course, if I doing something and I invent something, I want to do this. I want to put this on my book. Of course, I make a note, but for the structure of the book, I always know the beginning. I usually know the end, but I don't know how to get from the point A to the point B. But somehow I always get there. And nowadays, when I'm writing my fifth book, I have just started it and I don't know how it ends. But now I'm so confident because I have written already 4 books. Now I'm confident that I can just write and the ending comes. Sometime I will know what it's like. But I know that many authors have these sheens and plants and everything like that. But I'm quite spontaneous writer, so I don't really plan anything, and I like it that way because in real life I'm very neurotic, very strict, and I have to know everything, like that. So it's good that when I write, I can just play as it lays.
Okay. I'm going to ask you some more questions from the audience now.
Okay.
Pauline says, which of your characters would you like or not like to meet in real life?
In a way, I have met them. Every one of them already, because they feel so, real to me. But it would be nice to meet Ida, because she has my sense of humor. She has very dark humor and sarcastic humor, and I think that we would get along fine. We would have lots of fun together.
Good. Interesting. I'd like to have a coffee with Arto.
With Arto. Okay. Why? Why do you like him so much?
He's like at the lowest point of his life, but he still has like a moral compass and has some strong ideas, and I think he'd be a really interesting person to listen to.
Yeah, and I can tell you one spoiler. In the third book that comes out in Finland in May, in the end, Arto is quite happy.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah, because it was so sad to write these awful things to Arto, and also in part 2, many awful things happen to him. And in Finland, we have this audiobook version of all these books. And this audiobook reader called Martti, who reads Arthur's parts in the audiobooks, is always so disappointed that Arthur is suffering and suffering. So in a way, I wrote in the third book that Arthur is happy in the end, because I was thinking that Martti will be too depressed if in the third book also Arthur will be suffering. So I was just thinking about my audiobook reader.
Yay for him. That makes me very happy.
Yeah, yeah.
Gordon says, if you could have written any book from the past, what would it have been? And
If
would you?
I could have wrote someone else's book.
Yeah.
Okay, it would have been Gillian Flynn's Dark Places, because it all started there. It was the first thriller I read. It was like 2012, maybe, when I read the book. And I hadn't read any thrillers before. So I read it. And then I had to read everything about from Gillian Flynn. And then I was so loving the whole genre that I had to read everything in the genre. And then this all those psychological thrillers that just came out of me, and the result is Follow the Butterfly.
Do you books 4 and 5, are they linked to Follow the Butterfly, or are they completely different?
They are in a way. In fact, I wrote the Follow the Butterfly first, and then I wrote a book called In Your Shadow. It really doesn't have a British title, because it isn't translated in British, but it's called In Your Shadow, and it's about this Me Too group that wants to apologize to victims of sexual abuse and rape. And then came Butterfly 2, and then came Butterfly 3, and now I'm writing a book. In fact, I wrote something on my notes, so I can tell you, because it's a psychological thriller, but it's like a true crime book. Its structure is like a true crime book, and there's a journalist who is investigating a true crime case. And I have invented this case. It hasn't really happened, but it's like a true crime book. And there are 3 teenage girls who are missing. And this is fiction, but it's like true crime. And the reason I want to write this book is that I hate true crime books, and I think that there is so many ethical problems with true crime because no one thinks about the victims at all. So I want to. There is these 3 teenage girls, and the book also has every other cliche of a true crime book. So there's a genius serial killer, and the journalist who investigates this thing loses all because she gets so involved in this case. All these cliches that true crime books have. And I want to take these cliches and put them on a blender and see what comes out.
Sarah says she loves the sound of it. So hopefully that will also get translated at some point.
Yeah. I think that it will be maybe my best book, even better than Follow the Butterfly. I'm really excited about that book.
That is very big to hear. Because Follow the Butterfly is going to take some beating.
It's totally different than Follow the Butterfly, because in all my 4 books are 4 characters who are narrating the book, and the structure is very similar in all those books. But this is totally different because this is like a true crime book. So there are many, interviews, like in true crime books, fake interviews, of course, and this, these documents like newspaper clippings and police reports and so on. It's so different from Follow the Butterfly's structure.
But it sounds good, a bit like Janice Hallett's structures. Have you read a Janice Hallett book?
Oh no, I haven't. Thank you for telling me. I have to read.
She writes books with lots of documents and emails and.
Okay, sounds good. Yes, I have to read those.
Well, I mean, sorry, before I ask you my next question, Gordon Brown says his secret or not so secret music vice is a Finnish musician. Oh, Gordon, you've really set me off on a thing here. Called Juho Palosma, who has 2 bands. And he's written no end of words to his music. Do you write to music or silence?
Oh, okay. So sorry, I didn't get the name.
Well, that's because I butchered it really badly. So he said he's got 2 bands, Villanar and Sin Kostan.
Sorry, I don't know. I know so little about music, so that's the problem, that I don't know. Sorry. I used to write in silence, but I've started to write in listening to music. And my favorite band is, I'm not very proud about this because I think their lyrics are quite misogynist. It really shows that they don't like and respect women. But my favorite band is still the Rolling Stones. I'm sorry.
It's fine. You like what you like. Tell us what you have read recently and enjoyed.
In fact, I haven't read so much lately because I was finishing my book, so it was very hard to read anything else. I just can't remember what I have. It's been so long that I haven't read anything. Although I'm reading a true crime book right now because I want to read true crime books for my book, but I can't say that I enjoy it. But it's Michael Finkel's true crime book about Chris Longo, a man who killed his family 20 years ago. And there is a movie about these killings, and James Franco plays the part of this murderer. I don't know, I really can't say that I enjoy this book, but I read it as a research.
Have you looked at the books like people like Holly Rubenhold, right? Where she looks at the victims of the crimes rather than the thing. She wrote
Can
a
you
book
please
called,
send me a message and put these names so I can check them, because I won't remember anything and I really want to see those books.
I will. She wrote one called The Five, I think it is, that was about the Jack the Ripper's victims. But rather than talking about Jack the Ripper, she talked about the women that he killed.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah.
And I think she sort of like takes a different approach to true crime that you might find interesting.
Yes, that really sounds good. Yes, please send me a message.
I will do. We have got 2 minutes left. So remind everyone who is watching and asking questions what they are going to go away and buy. And let me just point out before you do that this was my sort of joint top read of last year, the book that you're going to talk to us about.
Sorry, can you ask me again what you want me to say now?
So remind everybody what they're going to go away and buy.
Okay, so this is my book. What else I can say? So I guarantee that you will love Ida, and you will. No, I can read you a blurb by Elizabeth Little, who is the author of Pretty as a Picture. She wrote on my book, breathlessly plotted, deviously constructed. It's here.
There you go. I mean, with praise like that, what more could you say? It's a wonderful book. And thank you so much for joining us again to talk about it.
Thank you. It was so much fun. I just hope that everyone else had such fun time as me.
I'm sure they will.